Anyway, so veterans voice again. You know what we do now. So welcome to my special guest this week, Paul Binnie from Wood. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good, Matt.
Yeah,
Good to be here. Looking forward to
yeah,
some
yeah.
decent
We
chat.
met in the flesh the other week, didn't we? We
How
actually met in the flesh
exciting.
across our eyes met across a crowded room, and we didn't even know we were even going to
Oh,
the same
yeah.
function.
Oh, so
Yeah,
beautiful. I like sort
yeah.
of danced across.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you did sort of sashay sort of
Yeah,
across the
it's
room,
good.
but yeah.
So good.
So yeah, so that was good. That was good. But yeah, we'll bring some people, or we'll bring some comments up as and when they come up. But yeah, so do you support the tune?
I
Are
do
you
support the
you
two. There's only
do
one team in the northeast of
oh,
England,
yeah.
and that is
Well,
Newcastle.
do you know what? A little bit about that. I used to live in Chester Street
Don't
many
I?
many
Don't
moons
admit it.
ago. Don't admit it. Well, yeah. So I did, but that's a split. That's a no man's land, isn't it? It's half and half.
Yeah,
And
you kind of
I,
nobody there. It's lost.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we got a guy came up to me on the first day of moving in. Go, hi, my name's Paul. What's your colours? And that was it. He wanted to know straight in there.
Um,
I called him Alan for 4 years, and when we moved, I said, "Cheerio, nice to meet you." He goes, "My name's Paul."
oh my god, that's a
Okay.
legend. That is so good.
Anyway, yeah. So, bit of background to you. Paratroop. I thought you were artillery, so I thought I was going to have to shout, but I was wrong there, wasn't I?
So,
REME and Paras. So we
yeah.
might get a bit of flack from the Marines in a bit when they start piling in. But yeah, give us a little bit of a background into your military career.
Uh, so yeah, I was sort of finished school, did my A levels, and sort of wanted to do something. So headed straight off down to Brown and Barracks and had a play there. Started for commission, but they basically went, "Nah, you're not joining us, mate, because as an officer, because all your mates are Toms, so it doesn't work. So you can go join the Royal Corps Transport."
Right.
And I was like, oh, "I don't think so." And they gave me off to go to university. So headed off to university, grew my hair, um, and did whatever you do as a student. Sort of a couple of years as a teacher because it was an A4 size application form, and then realised there was a really rubbish civvy. So in the good old bad old days, you had to be sort of in Sandhurst for 25. So I raced through the door, and I couldn't afford to be back termed and commissioned at the REME, where I did, God, I mean, 19 years. Did a bit of this, bit of the other. So had a great tour in Bosnia as an opener in my sort of early days, and to see what operation was and getting out of barracks, and then did sort of invasion of Iraq in 2003 and sort of a spell out in Afghanistan as well. So really enjoyed the tours. Um,
Did you jump out of a plane that was working perfectly well?
well, it was less for the pilot,
Yeah.
but he made us all sick, so it was better to get out.
Oh dear me. But
Yeah.
no. So you how many years were you in the army?
In all up, 20, just over 20.
Yeah. So a big change when you come out into Civvy Street. What made you decide to come out?
My last job was up, pardon me, I live up in just outside Aberdeen now. And my last job was in Aberdeen. And part of it was just going round to industry, selling veterans and service leavers and reservists. And it was the time was, excuse me, we'd just gone through Army 2020. So it was sort of the reserves were sort of key part of the enablers. So there was a big drive for those people that were sort of forward facing into the public to get the selling reserves. So I'd go in and say, you need to employ reserves in your organisation, or take veterans and service leavers and give them the spiel on how awesome veterans are. And they'd go, well, so who are you and what you do? And I'd sort of give this is me, done a bit of joint venture work, project management, portfolio management, led a bunch of people here and there, done maintenance, chartered engineer, etc. And they were like, "Oh man, when you're getting out, I'm a soldier through and through. I'm not getting out. And this was all sort of $120 a barrel. And anybody that knows oil and gas industry, the business does that constantly. Yeah. It's up there when the oil price, and they'll take everybody. And when it's down there, when the price is low, they're getting rid of everybody. So I was at $120 a barrel, and they were like sucking guys in. And I had some really good wins getting people into the oil and gas industry at that time. And sort of there was re-engineer was in a wood program that were taking veterans in. There was another one by Petrofat. It was like a really good sense of, the industry's after veterans going to support it. So I had my head turned. I got my posting to Army headquarters. I was like, I'm never doing that. I'm not going back to darken those doors. So jumped ship at $120 a barrel. And sadly, by the time I entered the point where I was exiting, it was $29 a barrel, and it's a very different landscape.
It is, yes.
Yeah. So I was just lucky in the fact that I worked the network, and I mean, literally, a lot of the guys that I sort of met and the CEOs, this is including the CEOs, were sort of out the door as well. And I was like, oh my God, all my contacts are going. But I was working the network, and I managed to get a work placement with a company called Apache North Sea for a month.
Yeah,
and I sort of they just like what they saw at the end of it and said, "You're coming back in." So I managed to get a job in sort of in the lowest downturn the industry had seen since the 1980s. So
I remember that. That was a terrible time. I was one of the statistics then. So fair play for getting something during those times. So it wasn't literally falling into a job, was it? You know, you had to work at it. You had to do the networking and
all about that network. And the network, although I didn't realize it, I was there for 2.5 years, and I'd say my 2.5 years was 2.5 years of good quality networking. And my final year was really focused and hard work on the network, almost like moonlighting on top of my day job to get the network moving.
Yeah, so I'm just chatting. I think the chat's broken on Restream, but anyway, we'll carry on. So you then worked for Apache for a bit, and then you worked your way into, or you got a job with Wood. Excuse me.
No, John. So yeah, I worked for Apache. I was a contractor in there, so it was a publicly limited company, and it sort of is the business optimization lead. So it was really good in the early days. I had free remit. I just went around and so that looks rubbish. Let's improve it. Here's a budget. Let's get on it. And it was absolutely awesome. And then I just got bored. So I set up my own consultancy on the side of it. I was sort of got into process safety and assurance as well on the side, and sort of joined the Energy Institute Process Safety Committee and set up consultancy on the side because I was pretty bored. Did that. That didn't really flip my switch either. And I was like, I've just got to do something. So I then flirted with the NHS. I was always second. Man, I got so many silver medals, it was unreal.
Yeah.
I was just the right person I'm looking for, but not this time. I was like, right.
That's it. Yeah. Call us back in 6 months' time or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Stay in touch. Yeah, right, mate. Yeah, I'll stay in touch to pick up the confetti from the lead runner. Because I thought I was missing a moral purpose in life, and I was just really kind of lost and sort of on a bit of a down. And I met this guy, you know him well, mate, Thor Holt, the guru, the wild man of Bankery. And
yes, the founder member of Hat Club.
Yeah. And he sort of just gripped me and went, get yourself sorted, mate. It's not that. It's you're missing being part of a team and sort of that team ethos. And that flick and change of direction was like a light bulb moment. And instantly started looking at the right jobs and sort of landed this job as the technical director for Wood, which is really good. It's like being a DCOS again, which is a deputy chief of staff, those that don't know.
Yeah. That's great. Well, just before we go on to the next bit, Scott, welcome, Scott. So he's right. A number of submarine techs, people going back into the submarine service because of the downturn.
Yeah.
So yeah, if just a quick note to anybody, if you are listening, then just drop a comment in there so we know you're listening, and feel free to ask some questions and that sort of thing. But hi Scott, thanks for your comment. So just tell us a bit about wood in the energy industry.
So I mean, we are sort of hardcore, die in the wool, traditional service company of the oil and gas industry, and that's probably everything from basic design of stuff to go offshore in pipelines and asset. We built platforms and all the rest of it, design through to construction, through to operating, and sort of a lot of the guys will know that. And there's loads of ex-military as our offshore technicians into decommissioning the offshore assets. But sort of 10 years ago, we sort of moved into the renewable sector, sort of building wind farms, and we've kind of left that wind farm element a little bit, but we're stepping back into there. But we're sort of into hydrogen. We sort of pushing hard with various companies building hydrogen plants. We've got a huge contract coming up down in Humberside in net zero land, building a hydrogen plant, blue hydrogen and green hydrogen down there. Sort of build that, design it, build it, operate the plant. So we've got that. Wind recycling, there's a great contract at the minute. Really mind blowing. All those soft plastics that you can't do anything with at the minute, it's non-recyclable. These mad professors, literally these mad professors, came up with this. We'll just melt it with super hot, high temperature, super high pressure liquid or steam. Cool. And we just inject them together, and then they'll all mix up, and it literally fracks itself out from aviation fuel, liquid, all the way, every stage of the hydrocarbon, right down to little pellets that you feed to animals, because it's just pure energy. And but they did this in a little lab. Well, not a little lab; it's quite a big lab. It was big enough to be able to do it. Sadly, they didn't quite understand industrialization, so they got Wood on board and went, "Fellas, you need to build this for us.
Can you do this bigger?
Yeah, make it bigger."
Yeah.
And they had this consultants that did all this pre-feed work, this sort of front end study, and they went, "Oh, yeah, this is totally doable. This is totally doable." So we picked this up and went, "Okay." And they gave us all of the supplies, and we went to these suppliers, went, "Right, you know that that sort of 4 mil tube that you were using for the steam? Yeah. And the matrix, it goes into the matrix, that's like sort of 40 mil. Right, we need that now at 20 inch. Well, you can't do that, mate. What do you mean you can't do that? You just said, no, we can't do that. So we've had to totally re-engineer it all, and that's a great project that's ongoing at the minute.
That sounds really interesting. Yeah, that does. I almost imagine something like Back to the Future, where he takes his can of Coke and chucks it in the back of the car and uses it as fuel. So no, that's brilliant, and that's the sort of innovation that we need. And you know, I know wood from my oil and gas days, but you know, it does need some big hitters to actually invest their time and energy and money into that. So that's really interesting. So really, engineers, logistics people, and people with a good pretty work ethic. So
everything, HR all the way through. I mean, and we are, as you know, Matt, we are forces friendly. We hold the gold Armed Forces Covenant.
What was that?
The gold Armed Forces.
Gold. You could almost have planned it. So you are gold. Always believe in your soul. Armed Forces Covenant holders. Yeah, we just have to get it. We couldn't resist that when we were talking about it last night, could we?
No, absolutely superb. So yeah, we are. I won't say it's easy. I mean, we've got the, I won't say the word, we've got the covenant there, which is a winner, but we were in the last upturn. Really, I'd say we had re-engineering. We've lost that, and we've restructured, and the drama is now is reigniting that, and we're getting it from the highest level in the business. We need to recruit more veterans.
Yeah.
In the US and UK, veterans are it. It's a line of talent we need to get into, and that's come from the very highest. That's from the sort of executive, basically 2IC of the company. The drama we're getting is a lot of our work is client facing, and therefore you've got to put the CV in front of the client before they'll pay for it. And we need to now work on the client to get them on board to say, there might not be 15 years oil and gas experience or 15 years of renewables, but you know what? The 15 years of engineering or 15 years of leadership, 15 years of logistics, 15 years of HR. And it's that re-education piece. I mean, we just had a conference today, Top Sites UK, and they're all going, we're in with Scottish, and sort of one of my guys was in Scottish government as well this morning, all looking at, and the big questions were, what are we going to do about resource? We've got all the professionals that we had, they're retiring. We've got a gap. What are we going to do? Well, I'll tell you what the gap is.
That's it.
Absolutely,
and you've hit the nail on the head there, because there's always been a gap, especially in engineering, because a number of years ago, and it goes in cycles. A number of years ago, companies didn't invest in engineers and didn't bring them on, and then there's that gap, and so you then got a lot of very junior engineers in senior positions, and it is cycle. You do need to veterans. The work ethic is fantastic, so ideal. So we've got some good chat going on here between Scott and Ian. So yeah, I mean, Scott's right there. You have to learn to sell yourself, and this is what you were saying earlier on. You were doing the networking, you were going and you were having those conversations. It's really important, and it's a difficult thing to learn to do when you learn to, when you sort of taught to stay grey.
I remember at staff college, and we had the sort of the intercore coming saying, right, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, you need to be locking them down, stop talking about it. And it was really hardwired in to not do it.
Yeah.
But you know what? The best way I got to sell myself was because I wasn't selling me. I was selling everybody else. I was selling veterans. I was selling everything from chefs to sort of AGC admin, even air techs, mate, which is kind of stuck in the throat. I never saw the Royal Marine. I didn't get it. I didn't get into that. I didn't scoop that low. But I just found it because I was talking about other people.
Yeah.
And when the conversation was forced onto me, I already had that segue.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a question here from Ian. How do you get the message out? And I'm presuming the work stream he's talking about the hydrocarbons. In terms of, or is it just qualify that, Ian? You're talking about the hydrocarbons, or are you talking about getting veterans into companies like Wood? But Scott's in there as well. Selling yourself 100%. It's really important, and punting those transferable skills. You've got them, and it's putting those transferable skills into civvy speak, into a language that your client or the potential employer is going to understand. So, the typical sort of drill sergeant, for example, they just perceived by somebody who can shoot guns and shout lots, but actually, they've got discipline, they've got organizational skills, they've got leadership skills, they've got HR skills. It's just putting that into the context,
coach, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
a really top bloke I know, and I hate to say it, he actually wears a green lid. Alistair Macquarie. I mean, if you know, I don't know. He came out. He was a transport corporal in the Royal Marines, but bright bloke, great quality guy, drinks whiskey, Jesus, and he he got out and he was like sort of dithering. He sort of, I met him as in his transition. We got networked together, and we sort of had a chat, and I got him into a company up here as a trainer, and honestly, it was embarrassing the money they were going to give him. It was so low, and but we were like, oh man, I'm not sure that's right for you. And then linked him up with somebody else who's also talked about finance. Linked him up to another pal of mine who's down in Edinburgh, and he got in with a Virgin Bank, or Virgin Money as it is, and he then ended up as the leadership development manager for Virgin Money.
Right, there you go.
So it's there. It's just the network and linking yourself.
Yeah, and I do know quite a few ex-military types that are in senior positions in HR, for example, because they, you've had a lot of people that you manage people. So Ian's come in and qualified it. It's the hydrocarbon work stream. So yeah, he's right. There's only so much lithium we've got, so we might as well turn our rubbish into fuel. So so Ian's wondering how you get into that. So what sort of stage is that project at the moment?
I'm going to call it out. You need to go and look at it. Google it, REME, and we're constructing now. We've got around the significant technical issues with it, and it's being built now. I'm actually going down to it next week to have a check.
All right. But, you'll have to stick a little bit of a LinkedIn post out about it, and a picture, nice little selfie of Paul next to whatever. Yeah, and
it's being built, but it's going to be, honestly, my view is every city should have one of these. Yeah. It's amazing. And it's just, it turns it back to the plastics back into the constituent parts.
Yeah.
These guys are amazing.
That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Some people have got some clever minds, haven't they?
They have,
So in terms of the challenges to recruitment in energy, you've highlighted that, and that is basically persuading the clients that this person who hasn't necessarily got you can teach the technical skills, but you can't teach the work ethic, you can't teach the culture, you can't teach a lot of the softer skills that military leavers and people in the military have, and you're looking at you need to punt those transferable skills and sell yourself. Oh, so Ian's ex-REME as well. Here we go. This is what it is. This is why he's got interested. So
only quality rises.
Yeah, there you go. So, but how can companies or people get hold of or understand what's on offer at Wood and get a foot in the door?
The best way is check out the website. Everything we have is on the website. So have a look on the website, wood.com or woodplc.com. You'd think that an $8 billion business would be really easy to find, considering it supports the energy industry and it covers the whole world. Try searching for Wood.
Well, if you Google Wood, you get stuff about trees. So you do get. I thought, all right, I will just try all the permutations and combinations. I fired Wood in there, and it is about 5 or 6 down.
Yeah.
But you do get stuff about worktops and trees and stuff like that.
A good cherry worktop I always found was a good.
Yeah. So just for the avoidance of doubt, I've fired the website URL in there. Everything's on there, and there's a whole range of everything. But you're not just you're in Aberdeen at the moment, but you're not just located in Aberdeen.
Oh, no.
So
we've got sort of hubs at the minute. So I'm operations, and therefore we're centred on Aberdeen. Then we've got Glasgow as a big office, Stockton, which gores me because it's the wrong side of the river. And then we've got the northwest. We're growing in Humberside, where Net Zero is, and we've got a massive office down in Staines, Reading. If any, you'll know this one is ex-REME, the old Foster Wheel they're building just outside Arborfield. That's Wood.
I know Foster Wheeler many moons ago. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. in terms of there's your gold covenant holders. I'm not going to do it again.
Oh, come on.
You go. I might do it at the end. Gold covenant holders, and that means you're employing lots of ex-military. You've got a good amount of people in there. You give ex-military a fair crack of the whip when it comes to the interview process. All the information's on the website, and it's just about getting those transferable skills and those experiences into a language that is understood by your clients, oil and gas industry, the energy industry.
Full energy industry. And
so
sorry, mate, on that one, just only because I had a chat with our head recruiting yesterday, or I think it was yesterday actually, and where I'm doing it with the two of us, Caroline and I are doing it in-house training session for all hiring managers, saying, right, this is what the military is, and this is what it brings to the party. So that's going to be all our hiring managers within operations, and also all the recruiting teams. So if you get through to a recruiter, they will, and if you highlight on there that you're ex-military on the military, that'll flag, and then we've got an armed forces network, really strong, and if they want something translating from good quality military speak into civvy speak, clearly the RAF are streets ahead of us on this one.
What was that? Say again.
Nothing. They'll sort of hand it off to us. We'll help with that deciphering, and we'll take it from there. So yeah, you're in with. There is no electronic filter on it.
Right, excellent stuff. So that's brilliant. And so we're drawing to a bit of a close now. So, given your experiences in the military, in energy, what would be your message, your veterans' voice message to people looking to get into your industry and to you who are looking at leaving the armed forces?
Two bits.
I'll have two. Yeah, go on. Yeah. Just because it's you.
You always get the Bible and something else. So I'm going for my first was networking, mate. Networking isn't. Don't network with other military. Get out there and identify what you want to do, or you think you want to do, or vaguely, and target people in business. I did that. I was brazen. Find it.
That's the Geordie in you.
It was, mate. I was kicking doors in and not back. What can I say that? So I just got out there, targeted people, and just introduced myself. Generally, people want to help. It's like amazing. People do want to help. So one is network properly. Yeah. Loads of work in the Clyde for us at the minute. It's good. Yeah. And the other one is, how do I say it? Don't say I want to be a driller if you've got no drill qualifications and no experience. You're not going to be a driller. What you can be is a really useful member of the team, and that will get you in. If you turn around and say I want to be a driller, the driller's just going to go, so what do you know about directional drilling? And we're all going to go, not got a Scooby-Doo, mate.
Google.
Google.
Yeah. But I mean, and having worked for a couple of very big companies, tier one contractors before, because of the size of the organization, it's just a case of getting into the organization, proving your worth, which all military guys and girls will do, proving your worth, and then you can move around within an organization. Not necessarily saying, okay, if you want to go into drilling, have that as your target and say, right, I'm going to be in drilling in 5 years' time, but I've got to get to a point where I understand the language. Get into an organization and then move around with it once you've started to prove your worth. So thank you very much. Just before we finish, we've got to do it once more. Are you members of the Armed Forces Covenant? Are you signatories?
We are, Matt. We are gold covenant holders.
Jolly good. Yeah, pleased to hear that. Yes. So yeah, well, I've had a bit of fun there. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for the people who've joined us and fired in the comments. And thank you very much, Paul, for your words of wisdom. And yeah, thank you very much, everybody. And we'll see you next week.